podcast. I am Dr. Kyla Prusak, principal at Minett Elementary, and I'm excited to share with you the voices of real educators who are living this work. When I think about the greatness that is happening every day in schools all over the world, I feel compelled to do a small part in helping others understand the many facets of the work we do. We hope our listeners will be able to gain an inside look as we pull back the curtain. Welcome back to the Minett podcast. Listeners, we're glad you're here. Today we are back for episode 6, and we are thrilled to speak with Chloe Kirk. She is one of our first year kindergarten teachers. Welcome, Chloe.
Hi.
Okay, Chloe, so I'm just going to jump right in. I have to ask you this. When you were in college, I'm sure you had lots of dreams about what your first year of teaching would look like. So how does working at Minett compare to the vision you had for your first year?
Well, my first year of teaching in general, I thought I was going to be with older students, so I expected different. I'm now in kindergarten, but I expected my first year to look like me in a traditional classroom, decorating my room and just being like very normal, like what I grew up with. And being at Minett, it's probably the complete opposite of everything I imagined, but the more I think about it, the more I realize that the vision of what I had of what teaching was like is so different now, and I love it. It's more, I view it more from like the academic lens and the more community lens than I was before. I think I was thinking of it as a more of a shallow level, and then now it's something that's much deeper. And so I have a great love for this vision that Minett has brought to me, so I'm glad.
Awesome. Well, you said, you mentioned about how school looked when you were in school, and you were one of our proud FISD alumni. So
8 through 12.
Yeah, so tell us about your journey in Frisco ISD as a student.
Yeah, so I moved here at a very young age, and I went to Sparks Elementary, which isn't far from here, and then I was able to go to Pioneer Middle School, and then I was at Frisco, and then I helped open Reedy. So I've been kind of all over the board with Frisco, but I always knew I needed to come back here because I loved it so much, so had to come back.
Awesome. I remember when I interviewed you and you shared that, and I always, anytime there's somebody that wants to come back to their hometown and serve students, I always, you always have a leg up.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what are some things you have accomplished this year that you're proud of?
I was trying to think about this, and there was a lot of small things that I think, like, I realized at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, I did pretty good at this, or I'm like, wow, I'm happy with this. But I think the biggest thing that I've felt accomplished with is just learning the curriculum, because I went to school, college in Oklahoma, and the curriculum is different there. And so I was a little hesitant about learning curriculum and being able to teach it effectively. And I feel that I'm at a place where I can confidently speak and really get the students connected to what the message and what they're supposed to get out of the lesson is. So I feel accomplished about that, learning.
That's awesome. What college in Oklahoma did you attend?
Well, only the best, the University of Oklahoma, the one and only Oklahoma.
Awesome. We've got quite the rivalry on the kindergarten team with a couple OU girls and a couple Oklahoma State, so that has been fun for you guys, I know. Okay, so we know every day at Minett is special, but share a specific time this year when you felt joyful or inspired about the work that you get to do.
I think there are tons of special moments, tons of moments that I realize, like, oh my goodness, I'm impacting like children's lives. Like, I still think about that each day. There's little things that happen, but one big thing that we did, it was probably in September, October, once each student kind of mastered reading a book in our classroom, we did a parade around the school, and that was, I actually cried at that because I just thought it was so cute. The entire school came out into the commons, and then the upstairs came out into the hallway, and the kindergartners had the book that they read, and they just paraded around, and everybody was cheering. It was so loud. It was amazing, and the kindergartner's face, everyone was smiling. It was such a joyful moment, and it was really cool because we were just starting school off, and for them, like, to see the kids already feel so welcomed was insane, like, especially for a first year. It was very amazing. It was so special. I loved it.
It's always one of our favorite days of the year for sure. Okay, Chloe, so most of our classrooms have co-teachers, but you are part of the first co-teaching triad. So please share a little bit about what it looks like to have 2 co-teachers with you all day.
I personally am biased and I think it's the best option, but I have realized that I am constantly getting to like bounce off each other in a different way than just some of the people who have just co-teachers. But with us 3 is 2 of us can be bouncing off each other and one person taking notes, collecting data, or the other person like working on behaviors and things. And then we also noticed recently, as the kindergartners have gotten more adjusted to school, is we've been able to split up and really make sure that our instruction is at like a high, medium, and low level. And so these students are getting in smaller groups and they're getting to hear the instruction at the pace, the level, just the way they need it to be heard. And so we get that special little moment to be able to do that. It's also just fun to see 3 classes, about 17-ish students in each, see them interact with each other. And I think that's the most fun part, because they know that they're all family, but they also know that they're separate classrooms. And so us being the largest, I know a lot of people were hesitant about it. And I know like even us 3 were like, oh my gosh, how are we going to manage 3 teachers and balance each other? But luckily my 2 other co-teachers, we all get along so well. And so I just love working them. It's a blessing for sure. It's something that I, again, didn't think I was going to ever get into co-teaching. And then now I'm here and I don't want to do anything else. It's amazing.
Awesome. And I do see the 3 of you, as with all of our teachers, constantly teaching in all different areas. I definitely see you all over the learning space with small groups, or even like these little whole group, bigger groups. So where is your favorite place to lead a lesson?
Ooh, I think my favorite place, right now we moved some of they're like little couches. I don't know exactly the right term for that, but we moved them in to make a little couch. And so when we do our whole group, like today we did this, all 3 teachers like sitting, and we were taking a brain break, sitting on the couch, and they're all like just surrounding you like a little huddle. And it's just it was like very family, and like we ended up singing a song together. It was just like a really goofy moment to get to have a break with them. But that's probably my favorite place to connect with them. And the medium room, I love to like teach and instruct in there, because it just feels a little more focused in there. So I like that aspect too.
Great. Well, kindergarten is such an exciting time, and we know our families are always trying to help their learners be prepared. So can you share a few tips for our listeners for incoming kindergartners?
Yes. So I talked with the other kindergarten teachers, because I was like, there are many things, obviously, that kindergartners coming to school, some of them with a pre-K background, without, it's all of them are learning. And so the few things that I thought of, academically speaking, I think letters and sounds, once you kind of master that or working on that with your students, that's a great base, and that's where we take off of. But it's also the little things like opening the boxes in your lunch, tying your shoes, zipping your jackets. Like those are the things that I think a lot of parents forget about, and they don't think like, oh my goodness, I need to teach my child that. You're like, yeah, but it does come. But I think that's kind of the more not academic thing that they need to learn about, but something that a lot of parents forget about.
That's awesome. Yeah. And just the power of just reading to your kid, that just holds such power for those early reading behaviors. So I know parents are doing that. And so for those listeners who are already doing that, this should be an affirmation. Just keep getting your baby in your lap and reading those books with them. And
yes, we've noticed that, like, that was the number one suggestion at the beginning of the year parent conferences. We're like, just spend time in a book with your student, and it makes a world of a difference.
Yeah. Well, Chloe, you are almost to the end of your first year of teaching. And I always tell you guys, you've heard me say my metaphor. I tell our first year teachers, it's like you're out in the ocean, you're on a raft or a surfboard, and you get up, you get on the surfboard, you're about to stand up, and here comes a wave and knocks you down. And then you get back up, you get on the surfboard, here comes another wave and knocks you back down. And I say to our first years, but know that you're gonna stand up and you're gonna surf the wave, and know that surrounding you and your surfboard is your team, it's your community, it's me, it's your parents, your families that just love what you guys are doing. So you have almost made it through that year. It's the hardest year you'll ever have. So for the some aspiring teachers out there listening, what advice would you give to someone who is about to embark on hiring season, interview season, and then their first year of being a teacher?
I think that in regards to like interviews and going to job fairs and things like that, I think confidence, I think knowing the passions that you have and your big points. Like my big point for me was community, and I remember talking to you about that in my interview. My whole thing and my love for teaching comes from a place of loving and wanting community and building that. And so I think if you have something that you're passionate about, make sure that you can confidently speak about that. As a first year teacher, a suggestion that I would have is just to always ask questions. I am constantly asking not even just my team, but other teachers in the building. I'll just ask them questions, and I might think, oh my gosh, they're going to think that I'm saying the most silly question, but at the end of the day, I need the answer, and it makes me a better person. So I would rather ask the question. So I would always ask questions. And then I also think really just put yourself out there. If you are in a group or in a situation and you might not be the most extroverted person, I think you just try your best to be a part of the conversations, connect with people somehow, and just put yourself out there.
Yeah, you've done a great job with that.
Thank
you. You talked about learning the curriculum. If anybody walked into your room and watched you, they would say that's not that first year teacher that was on the podcast, because you're already so confident, and you need to be confident because you're really, really great and meant to do this work.
Thank you.
So, okay, before I let you go, quick game. We have to end everything with a game. So I'm going to take us back. We've been doing 5 questions, but I am going to, today we're going to play rapid word association.
Oh, goodness.
So I'm going to give you a word. You haven't seen these words, and you're just going to tell us the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready for this? Okay, school.
Love.
Family.
Love again.
Beach.
Friends.
Travel.
Fun.
Eat.
Chicken.
Drink.
Dr. Pepper. It's bad to say.
Relax.
Home.
Minett.
Connection.
I love it. So you did good.
I was like, try not to think too much about
Yeah,
that.
I love it. And you are definitely someone that is walking around with Chick-fil-A more often than not. So maybe we can get a Chick-fil-A endorsement for that answer. So Chloe, thank you so much for joining us today. We learned so much from you, and we are just so proud that you're a part of the Minett family.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We hope you enjoyed this new episode, and if you did, please leave us a like on YouTube and be sure to hit subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram